So in order to create new nodes for Dynamo, we have to first install Dynamo. I know what you're thinking, installing Dynamo, I always use it in Revit, I never have to install it, what are you talking about? With Dynamo, we have access to something called the Dynamo Sandbox. It is an environment that is created that's not connected to any Autodesk products. It lets you interact with Dynamo without having to open Revit or Civil 3D or anything like that. That adds overhead to part of our processing time. And building nodes for Dynamo Sandbox is a little quicker than building them for Revit. So that's how we're going to get started. Our end goal is going to be to make those nodes for Revit, but let's go ahead and interact with Dynamo a bit first. So we are going to play in the Dynamo Sandbox. So let's take a look at that now. All right, so in order to install Dynamo Sandbox, we need to head over to a website called dynamobuilds.com. This website is linked in the lesson notes below, but it is also on the screen. What we're able to install at this website is what is known as the Dynamo Core Runtime. It's called Dynamo Sandbox as well, but it kind of has two names. So Dynamo has a core component and the component that overlays on Revit or Civil 3D or what have you. This is the core component, the backbone of all the Dynamo installations. So dynamobuilds.com. For the core runtime, it tells you to use a software called 7-Zip. I recommend you use this all the time anyway, just because it's better than just unzipping files when you download them, because it does remove what's called, quote, the mark of the web. So if you've ever had issues when you download something with it not running, a lot of the times it's because it came from the internet and your computer's trying to protect you from yourself. 7-Zip helps with that. Once again, one of those points that I made at the beginning of this course is that you do need admin rights. This is part of the reason, because we are downloading some things that we need to run on our system. 7-Zip will do that. For dynamobuilds.com, we have the stable builds here at the top. So we have most stable and the date that they were modified. At the time of this recording for this lesson, we're on Dynamo 2.19.3. If you scroll down, you will see what are known as daily builds. So these are builds that come out on a daily basis, and they're kind of the bleeding edge of development for Dynamo, if you will. I encourage you, if you're an advanced Dynamo user or someone who publishes a package, to check these out as they come out to test your package for compatibility as well. Not something I'd use on a daily basis, but it is there for you to test your tools on before you ship them to others, which is an important thing to do as well. In this case, we are up to Dynamo Core 3.0. In the lesson notes, I'll link a blog post from the Dynamo team discussing what's big that's changing in Dynamo 3.0 that I think you should be aware of. Ultimately, when Dynamo 3.0 is released as a stable release, there will be some supplemental lessons in this course to help you know how to counteract the changes that have happened in that version. But for this course, we're going to go ahead and install Dynamo Core Runtime 2.19.3. You click on that link and it will download, and we can go ahead and get that unzipped and open it up. So we'll cut to that here in a moment. All right, and once that's downloaded, we can head to our downloads folder and take a look at the 665 megabyte file, in my case, that we did download. In order to unzip this, we're going to go ahead and right click on it. I'm in the latest version of Windows, so I am going to have to go to this Show More Options dialog, and we'll go to 7-Zip, and we'll extract to Dynamo Core Runtime 2.19.3. What this does is it will unzip all the files for us, and it removes, once again, that mark of the web from all of the DLLs and things like that. That way this version of Dynamo can run well, and we don't have to worry about anything in this case. You will see that there are a lot of these things called fallback docs. These are all sample files for all the Dynamo Core nodes that are now included in Sandbox. These didn't used to be included until recently, and that's part of the reason this file is pretty big now. It used to be pretty small, and then they started including these files, which are great to have, but they do add to the file size a bit. I encourage you to check out those sample files if you do ever want to know how some of these nodes work. Within Dynamo Core Runtime, we'll sort by alphabetically. We will see all the files that make up Dynamo. All of these exact files are actually included in Revit installs as well, because Dynamo is technically an add-in to Revit. So you will see these replicated in program files for Revit. So these are all of our DLLs that we can reference. If we scroll down, we will see an icon that says Dynamo Sandbox.exe. Double clicking on that We'll launch Dynamo, and you will notice it appear in your ribbon on Windows. I encourage you to right click and pin it because we will be using this in future modules during this course. In this case, we'll click on Launch Dynamo. We'll see our splash screen appear, and we're greeted with the overall Dynamo look. So we're going to click on New, and we'll see that we have Dynamo, and we can double click and all those good things. Worth noting is we are using the latest version of Dynamo. So if you've been around for a little while with Dynamo, you've seen the light gray nodes. We are using the dark gray nodes for this course. So that's Dynamo 2.13 or higher. So that's what this course will cover, although building a zero-touch package is really unique because it does offer cross-compatibility between a lot of versions, which is pretty cool, and we'll see that as we get into coding the nodes. So there we have it. We have Dynamo 2.19 installed. We can verify that in the About menu of Dynamo, and we're good to go from that point of view. So if you've never played around in the Dynamo Sandbox, you now have it installed to check out. Place a few nodes, play with it, see what you can do in here. The one thing that you will notice is you do not have a Revit category in the library because we don't have Revit open. So that is the other thing to consider as well. But we are going to be able to create some zero-touch nodes for this environment. With that in mind, I hope to see you in the next lesson, and thanks for checking this one out.